introduce yourself?
Yeah.
All right. Where are you from?
Connecticut.
Okay.
Okay.
Hi, good evening, everyone. It's me, Lavi from The Plated Plant, and I'm here with Miss Afua Hassan of The Birthing Place in Houston, Texas. How are you?
I'm fine. So I'm a midwife. I have 4 children. They were all born at home. They were all breastfed. And I am presently the owner of The Birthing Place, which is a place where moms come to have their babies. I do a minimum amount of home births now. I had stopped for a while, but I'm back doing a minimal amount because at my birthing center, it's on the first floor and I live on the second floor. So when I go to work, all I have to do is come downstairs. And so it's real convenient. And I'm older now. They told me don't say old. I'm older now, so it's real convenient to just come on downstairs. So my clientele is everybody at this time. When it first started 35 years ago, it was mainly Caucasian women. Okay. And then the Latino women came second. And then here we come. But we coming in strong now. Yes. Dun, 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 dun. And so, midwifery care. What is a midwife? A midwife means with woman. And we're with women when they're pregnant, during labor and delivery, and during their postpartum time. But here at the birthing place, it seems like we're there when the kid turns 10, when the kid turns 20, you know.
I met you through my cousin.
Okay.
She gave birth over a year ago.
Right.
And isn't that your boo? That's your boo. So they always come.
That is my boo. That is my boo.
So it's like family. You've created a community.
And unfortunately, COVID has interfered with like group prenatals and the breastfeeding group and the dad's group. But because I live here, the moms still stop by. And one time I went to the mailbox and there were 4 of them getting out the car. Oh yeah, we wanted to meet, so we're going to meet up here at the birthing place. I said, thanks for telling me, but come on in.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. So what made you get into midwifery? What made you decide to be a midwife?
Well, in high school, I knew I wanted to deliver babies. Okay. And when I was in college, you know, going through undergrad, I was not like the other pre-med students, but, you know, that's all you know is to be a doctor, obstetrician. And so one day I was in the clinic and I was seen by a midwife and I was like, they still got those? I don't even know how I knew what the word was because it wasn't in my vocabulary. It wasn't, like, even at that time, growing up, I don't even think I saw somebody breastfeed. Really? But I was like, that's what I am. I'm a midwife. So I started calling doctors. How do you become a midwife? Click. You know. And so I was real fortunate that one of my friends saw that there was my graduating year, my senior year, he saw that there was a conference given by Ayana Ade and Rashida Mushtaba about, it was, the name of the organization was CPAD, Childbirth Providers of African Descent. Okay. And so it was Black birth workers. Okay. And I made it, I didn't make it to the conference because I lost the paper, but I was able to find them. And that's how I ended up in Texas because I'm from Connecticut. Okay. And then I started school.
So you studied down here in Texas?
Yeah.
You started here.
Yep.
And you said when you first started off, it was mostly Caucasian women.
Correct.
And things have transitioned. What do you think is causing that transition, bringing more Black women through the door?
I think it's education. I think wanting, when you go to the hospital, most of the time, not 100% of the time, it is a procedure. And even a vaginal delivery is a procedure, where outside is an experience. Right. And when, you know, so they're looking for an experience. And so that's why more African-American women are coming here. Now it's because they're realizing that our high infant and maternal mortality and morbidity rates, that's moms dying and getting sick and babies dying and getting sick. We die, we're sicker. Yeah. The babies die 3 to 4 times as much. The women die twice as much as Caucasian women. And so they're not looking to have that happen. Right. And so they're seeking An alternative.
So I had my first son 12 years ago at a hospital.
Okay.
And my OB-GYN was great. I loved her. She was a Middle Eastern woman.
Right.
Not that that makes a difference.
No,
I felt very comfortable with her.
Correct.
5 years later, I got pregnant with my second son, and I went back to her.
Right.
And her business had grown.
Okay.
And I felt like, that first visit, I felt like a number. There were so many people. I said, let me look into a midwife. I don't even think I had really thought about it too much. We were going to weigh our options. And when I walked into a birthing center, I was like, oh, this feels like a home. And the best experience. Great. It was a wonderful experience, and I recommended my cousin, and I told several people, and many people I know have gone to a midwife afterwards. I think people have trepidation. I think people are nervous about it because they're used to hospital.
99% of women go to the hospital to have a baby. And when when you get pregnant, you know to go to the hospital, so you do it. And whatever you get, when you get there, they think that's normal.
Right.
Like, no, I'm not going to do it, because that's what you do, especially if you go to a physician that recommended, that a friend recommended or a relative recommended, so this must be good treatment, even if it's not good treatment. And so, but now women are looking for alternatives.
Okay, well, wonderful. And they have you here in Houston if that's what they need.
In the heart of 3rd Ward.
Okay.
Do not talk about the museum district or whatever. I'm in 3rd Ward.
Yes, and you're in this is a beautiful facility. There's a birthing pool. There's, you brought nature inside, so I love it. It's very comfortable here. One of the things that I wanted to talk to you about was why women, now we talked about women are going to the hospital, giving birth, and we have the mothers dying. Okay. It happens sometimes during childbirth.
Correct.
But in the Black community, there's a disparity.
Correct.
What we find is that, like you said, Black women are 2 to 3 times more likely to die in the hospital giving birth or complications after the birth or within 30 days of the birth, pregnancy-related death. Correct. And we're talking out of, CDC numbers, out of 100,000 babies, 11, out of 100,000 births, 11 Hispanic women may die, 14 white women may die. 40 Black women will die. Correct. 40. Correct. What are your thoughts on that? Why do you think that is?
Okay, so what we're told is that we have hypertension, we have diabetes, that we're on drugs, and we're obese. Okay. But white women are too. Latina women are too. The reality is that we're not listened to when we go to the hospital. So when I talk about this, one of the most famous cases is Serena. And it was funny, I was at Rice University and I said Serena, and those students said, who is that? I said, oh, wow. I said, in our community, you say Serena, it's only one, right? So if anybody is out there, you don't know Serena, we're talking about Serena Williams, the tennis player. Okay. And she went to the hospital to have her baby. She had a doula, and but she wanted an epidural, so she got it, and she has a condition where she gets blood clots. And so she really didn't need to have a C-section because that can exacerbate her problem, because she had to take medicine to thin her blood for these clots. Okay. Anyway, long story short, she ended up with a C-section, and she knew her body. Now, if you don't know, Serena got a bunch of money. Her husband has a bunch of money. And she came out, she said she left her room and went to the desk because her mother was in the room with the baby and she didn't want to frighten her mom. And she said, look, I need my heparin and I need a CAT scan because I don't feel well. And they were like, oh, ma'am, you just had a C-section. That pain is just normal. She said, no. They sent her back to her room. She came out again. I don't know how many times she came out, but she was coughing. All the C-section busted open. And so then they first gave her an ultrasound. She said, it's not an ultrasound. She said, it's a CAT scan. And I need my heparin. And they said, Then after the ultrasound, she said, you're not going to see it on the ultrasound. They finally gave her the CAT scan. They saw the clot. Now, if you don't listen to Serena, like, what? Who you going to listen to?
Right.
I mean, she got a white husband. So he, I don't even know if he was there or whatever. It doesn't even matter. They knew, but they don't listen. And so I was on a panel with an African-American doctor here, and she said, we have all those things, those 4 things I said. And I said to her, but white women have it too, and women in other countries have it too, but they're not dying. What is it? So I saw a documentary on natural causes, and it just confirmed. It was done by these 2 PhDs, and I don't know their names, but they said living while black will kill you.
Right.
And we don't have a choice. We can't pull this stuff off, and because. And I'm not debasing anybody, but like if you're a Muslim and you are being treated really badly, you can take it off. You can't because it's your religion, but you can do something, right? If it was really bad, right? But there's nothing we can do about it. Right. We can straighten our hair, but we're not going to be white,
right?
And if there are any Caucasians out there, we walk into a store, we are followed, we aren't listened to, it's hard to get care, and it doesn't matter what our socioeconomic standard is, because in this documentary, they interviewed this lawyer, and she lived in the nicest neighborhood. They went to her house and all that, and she too had poor care, just poor care. And so that's a problem.
Women... this is statistics from the government, right? Women with a high college degree, black women with a college degree,
she was a lawyer,
5 times as likely to die giving childbirth. Black women compared to white women.
Wait. Compared to white women who haven't finished high school.
Right.
Like that is huge.
Right.
You haven't even finished high school. That's okay. I can get it. Some of it anyway.
It's just showing us that it has nothing to do with education.
Or your socioeconomic status. Yeah. None of that.
And it doesn't matter what hospital you go to. Because I'm going to assume Serena went to the best.
Hey, she probably had the whole floor. So, like I think Beyonce had the whole floor.
So that tells us that it's not necessarily her health.
No.
And it's not her money.
No.
It's the perceptions of the people who are giving the health care to the individual, to the mother.
It's no different than the perception that, unfortunately, some policemen have about us. But we're not talking about that right now. But anyways, let's go.
Well, I mean, perception is what matters. Because it's the nurse, it's the doctor who's giving you the care.
Correct.
So if you go in there and you say, I'm in pain, I feel discomfort, I don't feel right.
Right.
There's this idea, well, you're all right.
Yes.
You're going to be okay. And, I wanted to get into, where does that come from? There's a perception that black people don't feel pain.
Oh, yeah. Well, you can handle it. You can do it.
You're so strong.
Suck it up. Yeah, y'all like to dance. Y'all like to dance. Go on and dance.
I haven't heard that one.
Look, that's what we do.
Yeah, we're perceived as so strong. And I think it just comes from the fact that even if we cried, who would listen?
Right.
Who would hear?
That's
so the idea that we suppress our pain or what have you, but really it does stem from racism. It stems from slavery.
And black people cannot be racist, because a racist is a person who belongs to a group of people who can control your economic status. We can't control anybody's economic status except our own. That's it.
It's like, a good way to break it down is like classism.
Right.
The poor and the rich. The rich can be classist. The poor have no ability to be classist towards the rich.
No.
Now, you can be reactionary.
Correct.
And I think there's a fear of black people's reaction.
Correct. I mean, because we get mad, we get mad. And it's like, why are you an angry black woman?
Right.
Huh?
Right.
Okay.
And the thing is, you can be tired. And I think that women are tired. When I was tired when I started doing this study, and I said, really? Black women are 3 to 5 times more likely to die giving childbirth? The United States the maternal death rate has tripled in the past 20 years. The rest of the world is declining in the maternal death rate. The United States is growing.
So we were 49th. I don't know if we're, and so there are countries in Africa that have better outcomes than what we have. And at one of the, I forgot what country he's from. He said, why would I want to get he was an African from, I don't remember, maybe Zimbabwe. He said, why would I want my wife to have a baby here? We going back home and have a baby. Right. And then she can live.
Right.
I was like, whoop.
Yeah.
That's so unfortunate.
I mean, I don't think people are aware of what that means. And
that's so unfortunate because Black people aren't aware. You know, Black women are not aware. And so when I bring it up, so I said, okay, you can say that. But when you find somebody who you find out, they died, then you kind of wake up a little bit.
Well, you know what? Not to compare it too much to police brutality, but not everybody dies. And that's the thing.
Right.
We have a death rate. And not every woman dies, but she might receive poor care. How many unreported, there's police brutality, and not every man dies at the hand of the police, but they were brutalized at some point. And those numbers aren't always factored in.
And they have to live with that.
Right.
You know, they have to live with that brutality and, feeling helpless. And, is it going to happen again? You saw that little boy who got behind the car. He was outside playing basketball, and he got behind the car because the police the car went by, and his father was looking at him and said, "Why?" He said, "Because they killed George George, and I don't want them to kill me." He was 9.
Yeah.
He was 9.
I mean, it's real, and it's happening.
It is. So we got to tell everybody that you need the best health care that you can get. And, people ask, what am I supposed, I'm planning on getting pregnant. What should I do? I said, well, 1, you should look for a midwife. 2, you should plan on saving your money so you can pay for her. Because I don't take insurance. There are a few that do, but I don't. And they're like, what? Pay? Yes, pay me.
Let me ask some questions that
some women
might have. So some women might be concerned. Is it about safety? Right? That's the first thing that probably comes to their mind because they assume it's safer in the hospital. So is it safer to be with a midwife than to be with a doctor in a hospital?
So what is safe? Because I asked that question, what is safe? Right. Because if you think being around all those machines, if you think that being induced, being given, when you get induced, it's Pitocin. Then that means you have to get most women have to get an epidural because Pitocin is off the chain. And then if being safe means being in the bed, not being able to walk around, change position, if that's safe for you, then that's where you need to be. But if you want to come in to an establishment where birth is not, I'm not afraid of birth. I understand what can happen. But you get monitored, and because one of the things I tell my clients, it's no guarantee that you're going to get a baby at the end of this. That could be your journey. It's not guaranteed that you're going to be alive after this because it can happen anywhere, in the hospital, in a birth center, or at home. But my moms want an experience, and they get monitored, and when it's a critical time, if I'm past my threshold, then we got to go to the hospital. I'm not going to stay here waiting for something that I don't think is going to happen just because you want to try more and more and more. And so it is what it is that you want. And what happens most of the time is women don't know what they want. And until they go to the hospital, have not the nice experience that you had the first time, and then they come out and they're like, then they look, and so then they come to me and ask me, they come with 100 million questions. I'm fine, I'll answer them, but that my question is, did you ask that to the doctor? They're like, did you know what the system was when you were going into the hospital? That there's this study that came out in 2018 that said nothing good happens after 39 weeks, so everybody should be induced at 39 weeks.
They tried to induce me.
Yeah, at 39 weeks. I'm like, huh? What? And then if you haven't done your research, you're like, oh, okay, you walk in there just like cows to slaughter.
Let me tell you, when my doctor called me to tell me they were going to induce me, and I was like, oh, man, okay, what does that mean? Okay, and I said, okay. And then I thought about it a little bit longer, and I called the office back, and I was like, I don't think I want to be induced. You know, she got mad at me.
Yes, because one of the biggest differences is that my clients and I, we're a team. Okay. You're not a team with the doctor most of the time. I will always say that most of the time. Most of the time, here's the doctor, and the doctor says, do what I say do, and then that's all. And you're in there for 5 minutes. My prenatals can last anywhere from half an hour to an hour. That's just prenatal. That's not the initial. Girl, how you doing? What's going on? Right. So we do the blood pressure, take a urine sample, listen to the baby, but it's not just the physiological issues that are going to get a baby out. And we do talk about diet. We do talk about water. We do. Because I have a mom right now. She's talking about, I ate a bag of hot chips. I said, a bag of hot chips or a bag of hot chips? She said, I'm going to be honest, it was a bag of hot chips and my feet swelled. She was only 12 weeks pregnant. I said, well, we can't do that. Right. But she going to tell me, because there's time to sit down and talk about what you're doing, because at the end of the day, I said, now look, I'm not coming to your house and going through your thing to look for, your pantry to say what's in here. Right. Just like I'm not coming to pour you any water, but you got to drink water. Right. If you don't do it, that's on you, not me. So that it is, I say the mom is the captain, the dad is the co-captain, and I'm the advisor.
And I didn't have that experience. I mean, I had a nice experience with my midwife. I didn't have that experience with the doctor. I didn't have the experience where she took a really long time. And when I said she was good, she was good. But when I compare my experience at the birthing center with my midwife to my doctor, totally different experience. I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, when I got to the hospital, they put me in a wheelchair, they put me in a room, and then at some point, I think my husband had to leave the room to fill out the paperwork. So I was in the room by myself. By yourself, yeah. And at some point, I knew the baby was coming. I was in the bathroom by myself. And the nurse came in, and she was like, how do you feel? Blah, blah, blah. You know how I felt. I was crowning. And it was my babies came fast.
That's great.
And so I came out and, gave birth, and that was it. But at the midwife, I had my music playing. The lights were down real low. It was a very relaxing atmosphere. Yeah. And it wasn't a procedure. It was an experience. Yeah. Just like you said, it was an experience. And it was a good experience. And I really, like I said, I encouraged a lot of people to go with the midwife. Even if you're not comfortable, I would encourage them to call you and ask questions and get comfortable with it, because the outcomes, I think the outcomes are exponential, right? Because when the husband's there or your partner is there, it's an experience for the family.
Right. So, yes, but if you're not comfortable, stay with your doctor.
Right.
Because I only want my clients. Like, there are a lot of COVID moms call, I want to switch because I want to be in hospital. I'm like, no, because you're not a midwifery client. You don't know what we do differently. And if you don't get the outcome that you want, whereas when people come because they want a midwife, even when they come late, they're like, I want a midwife, then we talk about what that is and even moms who come late, but they want a midwife. They
can educate them.
They've been educating themselves. They were too afraid to leave their doctor. Oh, okay. Sometimes, sometimes that's what it is. But as much as I say, I compare a hospital to a birth center or a home birth, please know that I'm very happy that I'm a midwife in a time when there's a place called a hospital. Because when it's no longer normal, off we go. And there were midwives, 60, 70 years ago when they couldn't take their moms to the hospital, or there wasn't, especially if they were African American, there was no black hospital for them to go to, and the midwife was the only alternative. And so, so I'm glad there's a hospital, I'm telling you.
Do you think with the current climate that's going on culturally, do you think you're going to see an increase of mothers to be contacting you?
Oh, yeah, I get calls all the time. I get like 15 calls every day that I wasn't getting before, but a lot of them aren't prepared. Right. Because they're like, yeah, can I just bring my Medicaid card? And I'm like, no. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So what do you say to those? What would you say to a woman who can't afford a midwife?
So a mom said to me one day, we're planning on having a baby. So what Medicaid do you take? I said, well, if you're planning on having a baby, plan on having money to pay the midwife. Only because Medicaid doesn't pay a lot of money. And what we do is...
intense.
Yes, that's a good word. Mm-hmm. And so if I did take Medicaid, I'd have to take so many, and then I wouldn't be able to give the kind of care that I want. And when I was a younger, not necessarily a younger midwife, but I used to do it way discounted or free or whatever. But one of the things that I found is that the majority of those clients didn't appreciate it. People who pay me my full fee, oh, they come back, they bring me a plant, they bring me here's some cookies, my grandma did this, and I value it. Yeah, and even just showing me the baby. Like, if you don't have it, I got that. But come show me. Let's take a picture or something. I don't get nothing. So I'm not saying that I haven't given a discount or whatever, but yeah, how I used to be.
Well, I think one of the and then we can wrap up now. But I know one of the questions might be, how much does it cost for a midwife versus hospital? And I think a lot of people don't understand that insurance covers costs at hospitals, or Medicare or Medicaid covers costs at hospital.
Did your midwife take insurance?
No, I paid.
You didn't pay out? Yeah,
I paid out of my pocket, and it was worth it.
And that's the thing. I had a client that they had Medicaid, and there was a birth center. It's now closed down, but they took Medicaid. And he said, but that woman, I don't want that woman deliver my baby. That's not what I want. And you know what they did for a job? DoorDash. And so when he paid, I was like, no, there's no excuse. Because I had a couple, he was a engineer and she was a dentist. And he said, well, I don't want to move any money around. I don't understand. Why can't we just go back to the hospital, even if you get another C-section? And I said, okay, it's time for y'all to go.
Well, I mean, the quality of care, people want things free these days. But you have to think, you are bringing a life into the planet. And you want the best quality care possible. You want someone who is going to listen to you, is going to understand how you're feeling, which way you need to turn, what's going on with you.
And we don't have a life because we don't have a life because like Monday was my day off. I had somebody in labor.
Right.
I can't go on vacation. I'm going to go on vacation next August because I'm not taking clients for 6 weeks during that time. But anytime, I don't care what I'm doing. I don't care what I'm doing. If the phone call rings and somebody's going, I have to stop what I'm doing and say, come on, wake up, or whatever I'm doing. Right. Most times watching TV.
Okay, that's a good thing to be doing anyway. So I thank you. I thank you so much for
Did you get your most important questions answered?
I think I did. I mean, is there anything that you want to add on to it?
I would just say interview a midwife. I would say that. Interview her. You don't have to. You might still go to the doctor. And whatever experience you get. But you'll understand the next time, the value. Because most of us are out there to help you. Like, we don't decide your journey, but we're standing by you while you go through it. We holding your hand, massaging your back, massaging your knee, whatever it is. And the experience empowers you to be the best that you could, to know how strong you are. And if you know how strong you are, there's nothing that you can't do. Nothing. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I do have a word. I have a final word. Something I wanted to say and get out there about I would really encourage everyone to consider using a midwife versus going to the hospital, because if it's the right thing to do.
Correct.
If you go to the hospital and you understand that the doctors might not listen to you, you're going to give birth, you're going to have your baby, but they're not listening to you, they don't think you feel pain, you're underdiagnosed. That's how you're starting bringing your child into the world. And then you're going to go to the pediatrician. You're going to go for that 3-month follow-up or the week follow-up after your care. And if you have a concern, they might not hear that. And then you're raising your child in a medical system where there is a health disparity across the board.
Across the board.
Asthma for your children, allergies for your children, diabetes for yourself, hypertension. There is a health disparity among Black people in the hospital healthcare system. So I would encourage you to find a midwife that you're comfortable with. And even if you decide to give a hospital birth, find a physician that you're comfortable with. Studies show that people of color who have physicians that are also in their community looking out for them have better health outcomes. So find a physician that you're comfortable with and make sure that you're heard. Be your own advocate in the hospital system. Ask questions. There's nothing wrong with asking questions. Correct. Come with a list of questions. Bring a friend who will ask questions for you. But know that your health is the most important thing, and you have the control and the final deciding factor over your health.
Because you're the consumer. You're paying them.
Right. Right. So thank you.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure.
Yes,
thank you for letting us in.
Sure. Welcome to the birthing place.
Okay, birthing place. Tell us the address. Tell us the website.
Okay, the website is birthingplace.com. And we're on Facebook, The Birthing Place. We're on Twitter, The Birthing Place, and Instagram, The Birthing Place. And we're in the heart of 3rd Ward, 2218 Barbie. 77004.
Wonderful. Thank you. And I'm Lavi from The Plated Plant. You can check me out at Plated Plant online. Have a good night.